Believe it or not, even with Mike Elko and all the noise and all the stuff that they did in 2022 and 2023, they were never ranked. They have not finished inside the top 25 since 2015. No 10-win seasons, no conference championships, and they were not inside the top 50 in team composite since 2020. What do you do with Duke? With Manny Diaz being the new coach, getting Maalik Murphy as your transfer quarterback, who's going to have several years of eligibility remaining, what could Duke possibly put together under Manny Diaz? Again, hard to quantify because Duke, compared to some of these other teams in the ACC, is known to be a bit depleted in resources. They're kind of working on a different playing field than teams like Florida State, Clemson, Louisville even, NC State even. They have performed better than the sum of their parts in recent years, but also they had a really good quarterback in Riley Leonard. Now he's at Notre Dame. I think the ceiling for Duke is 10 wins. Manny Diaz could get the most out of what's there on the roster. I don't think there's a ton of talent on the roster right now. They're probably a 5 or 6 win team next year. And maybe that's built up to the point where maybe Maalik Murphy, let's say he is the truth. And 2 years from now, they go, they win 5 games next year, 7 games the year after that. And then in the final year of Maalik Murphy's tenure, you break through and you have a 10-win season. I think that's very possible. I do not think Duke's ceiling is perennially a 10-win team because if Manny Diaz succeeds at Duke, he's going to go get a head coaching job at a bigger school. It's what we just saw with Mike Elko. Duke, the David Cutcliffe tenure there is an anomaly. You're not going to have a coach win 9 games at Duke and stay. It just won't happen. So, the program ceiling for them is on any given season, if you build up the roster and you have a good coach and things break right for you, you could jump out and have a 10-win season. But is the ceiling for Duke perennially a 10-win season? No. I think it's a breakthrough season, maybe every 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And then you jump back down to a 6, 7-win team when the roster gets depleted, when the transfer portal comes calling and steals all your best players. Duke is very interesting, but I do not think that even though they could have maybe a better season than some of these other programs, like maybe a Syracuse, maybe a Pitt, Louisville, I don't think you can expect that continued sort of success at Duke. There's one final team to mention, that is Wake Forest. So Dave Clawson at Wake Forest, I think, has taken probably the most limited program in the ACC and turned it into a program that in any given season can win 8, 9, 10, 11 even games if things all break right for them. Where Wake Forest is really interesting is they are like Duke in that I don't think they can sustain any type of success. They've not been ranked inside the top 50 in 247 Sports Team Composite since 2020 in the last 4 years. And they won 11 games in 2021. They did not have a top 50 team in terms of team composite, which is heavily weighted by high school rankings. Bear that in mind. But they're a team that takes 2- and 3-star players, develops them over 4 seasons, and then tries to break through when you develop that core of players that you recruited as 3 stars, and you just hope they don't transfer out. I think where Wake Forest is in a really tough situation is that they recognize, and Dave Clawson recognizes, that they win when they can develop and keep players and sort of compound that interest over 4 seasons and turn them into a winner. I don't think Wake Forest is going to be able to do that in the new portal era where guys are leaving. You've seen Wesley Graves leave, their stud wide receiver. You've seen Sam Hartman leave in recent years. They either have guys that leave during the draft or leave for the draft or leave for the portal. You're not going to see guys stay 4 years, develop, and then win a bunch of games in that ultimate season. So Wake Forest is really interesting. I think if you were to put a cap on what they can be in modern college football, you might say 11 wins because that's what they did in 2021. I don't think that even as much as college football has changed over the past 2 years, I don't think 11 wins is Wake Forest's ceiling anymore. I think they're a 9-win ceiling. I think if everything were to break right for them right now, in any given season, you could get to 10 wins. I don't think that they're going to have the requisite talent in order to do that. I think that their roster is going to get poached year over year, and they don't have the sort of deep pockets that can compete with some of these other teams that are coming in and taking their guys that show promise. So with Wake, I think it is a little bit difficult to quantify what they could be because they do sort of they do the slow build sort of thing. And maybe it's possible Dave Clawson gets them back to where they were with Sam Hartman, with Jamie Newman. But I think we saw the formula when Jamie Newman was the quarterback at Wake Forest. He transferred to Georgia. When Sam Hartman, in his final season this past year, transferred to Notre Dame. I think Wake Forest's best players are going to develop because it is a really good developmental program, and they have a great coaching staff. But they're going to go there for a year or two, develop, get better, and then transfer somewhere else and win somewhere else, and then go to the NFL. So I think that's the sad reality of what Wake Forest is, and you could probably also parlay that to what Duke is. And I think it's also very possible that Dave Clawson, if they have another breakthrough season like they did in 2021, he goes to a different program where he's got more resources and where he can compete on a more level playing field.